Right guys, so we've gone over the log clean, we've gone over the rack stability and position there and the push press mechanics. So I'm going to talk to you today about what I'm probably most known for, the fucking strict log press. With the strict log, I really do believe it is you got to approach it completely differently to a push press log. Now, I've taught strict press log to a lot of people, and what I've found is if you master these positions, if you're a strong presser, if you've got a good push press, obviously if you've got a split jerk and stuff, it might be a little bit different, but if you've got a good, strong push press, then you'll be able to apply these technical cues to a log strict press, and you'll be surprised how close to your push press max you're going to be able to get once you learn to strict log properly. Again, we need to throw all the rules that we've learned in those previous videos out the window, and we're going to break the strict log down and do it completely differently to the push press log. First things first with the clean. This is the only part of it that's going to be exactly the same. Get it into that rack position. But the difference we're going to have here is the rack position we land in is going to be completely different to the push press one. We might need to adjust the angle of the handle slightly so that it lands in this optimal position, because when we clean the log for a push press, the handles are facing kind of towards the ceiling because we've created this big shelf here. With the log strict press, we want the handles horizontal, and we want our elbow facing the floor and our wrist facing the ceiling. This way we've got a vertical line to press in. Now, if you were to attain this position with a neutral spine, like we do with the push press, where we stack the shoulders, hips, knees and ankles, then you wouldn't be able to press up, your chin would be in the way, you wouldn't be able to get a vertical pressing line. So what we need to do here is we actually put ourselves in what I told you was the inefficient way on a push press. We're actually going to hyperextend the back, and we're going to put ourselves in what I like to let people imagine is, imagine you're doing a bench press stood up. So when you load yourself on a bench into an arch, you pull your traps towards your glutes and you create this arch and you brace there. We're able to retract the scapula and create loads of tension through the upper back. And this is what we want to do on the strict log. So as we clean it, we're going to let ourselves go into hyperextension, and we're going to retract our scapula once we're in that rack position, and we're going to create loads of tension in the upper back. We also need to make sure we're squeezing our glutes, and something that I like to tell people is don't squeeze your quads, okay? A lot of people, when they teach strict log, they tell people to create tension through the quad and extend the knee, but we don't want to do that. We actually want this quad to be as relaxed as possible, because we want to be able to let our knee flex forward ever so slightly, which is going to enable us to create this curved position that you'll see on the B-roll. Now, when we're in this curved position here, as long as we are creating tension through the glutes and upper back, your spine is going to be in a very safe position, because we're going to be locked into place, just like we are when we arch on a bench press. Once we attain that position, your elbows facing the floor, wrists to the ceiling, and we're going to press, and we're going to keep our head back for as long as possible. Just like the push press cue, we're going to keep it back till we lock out, and then we're going to bring our head through at the last minute. What I like to do personally, and a lot of you guys will have seen on my videos, is when I rep a strict log from the chest, I only bring my head through on the last rep. Now the reason for this is, once I attain this perfect position and I squeeze my glutes and I lock my upper back in place, I've almost created this solid structure that I don't want to move from. When you bring your head through, you also create a neutral spine, and you stack the log, wrist, elbow, shoulders, hips, knees, ankles. I don't want to do that every rep, because then I have to go back into extension, back neutral, back into extension, back neutral. So I like to find this position, lock myself in tight, and I'll press to lock out, but I'll keep my head back the whole time. And then I'll come back down to the chest and rep. And then on my last rep, I will bring my head through and lock out. Now, I believe that's the best way to train the strict log and to master the position, but there is a little downfall to it. And if you fall into this situation, I recommend that you bring your head through every rep to correct it. When you are in this curved position here, what you can end up doing is actually pressing the log at this angle, almost away from your body, and you'll end up hyperextending even more and pressing the log forward, and it'll almost look like kind of this movement. Whereas you want to be pressing the log vertical. Now, if you're pressing it at that angle where you're going forward, it'll look like you're able to lock it out. Well, you will be able to lock it out, to be honest, but you won't be able to bring your head through, because if you brought your head through, the log would come forward and fall over. So if you're finding that you're getting in that position, I recommend you strip it back. Instead of holding the position the whole time, press to lock out, bring your head through, come back down into extension, and then drill that straight line log path first of all. But the best way to do it, as long as you're pressing straight, is to keep yourself locked in that position, hold it tight, brace through the glutes, a little bit of relax through the quads so the knee can track forward, and upper back needs to stay locked. That's where you're creating, like think of your upper back as your bench. If you had an incline bench there and you were leaning back, you wouldn't be able to go into hyperextension any further because you've got a solid structure touching you. You need to make your upper back like a bench. You need to make it locked in place so that when you put yourself into extension, you're almost in like this incline bench press, incline log press position. Your upper back is responsible for keeping you there. If it is relaxed, as you press, you'll go into more hyperextension, and that's when you can pick up an injury from overextending. So it's very important that you make sure that upper back is locked tight, and so are glutes. If glutes are relaxed, your hip will be able to come further forward as well, and you'll end up in more hyperextension. So they're the two cues to think about: tight glutes and tight upper back, and that's going to keep you in that strong position. Quads relaxed so that your knee can bend, and we're going to press in a vertical line and bring the head through last. Make sure that you try this strict log technique on your next session, and come back to this fucking video and write some comments as to how it felt, because I'd almost guarantee if you master this position, you will be shocked how much weight you can add to your strict log. Like I say, for me personally, I'm literally about 5 kilo behind my push press log, and I'm a pretty good fucking push press logger. So if you guys can master it as well, I'm sure you'll be able to get loads of kilos out of it.